Hey guys, what's up, and welcome to Women in the Photo Pit, a music photography podcast. My name is Boston, and I do these interviews talking to amazing, badass female concert photographers and just showing off their work and their journey. And I am so excited about this episode of the podcast because I got to do my first ever international interview, and that's with Miss Chloe, who is now a good friend of mine, and I am just so honored that she took the time to talk to me because she's a touring musician and she's been touring for a while. And she has such great advice, but we were able to do this interview due to the current COVID situation and obviously talking over the internet. So it was fantastic, and I'm really excited about this week's episode. So I hope you guys enjoy it and listen all the way through. It's a little bit longer of a one, but very fun, and she is incredible and has so much great advice. So a lot packed into this one, so I hope you guys enjoy. We'll just jump right into it. Well, hi, Chloe. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you and talk to you when you're like so far away from me. I think that is so cool to like have a Zoom online session with you and actually get to chat. So I'm very, very thankful. Thank you so much for joining me. And no problem. And we're just going to jump right into about you. So can you give us a quick intro of like who you are, how you got started in photography, like how long you've been shooting, and what kind of photography you do?
Yeah, so I do mostly music and portrait photography. I kind of do anything really, from weddings, and I've done a bit of like product photography before as well, but sort of portraits and music is the main thing that I kind of aim towards doing. Yeah, I got into photography when I was about 8 years old, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
So going on 13 years now. When I think it was, it's really hard to remember because it's quite a long time ago. But like my family and my neighbours were all really close in our street at the time, so we'd all sort of go off for little day trips together. And my neighbours had children that were a similar age to me, so we all went off to an arboretum, and it was November. So I remember the trees were like that really sort of rich golden colour and all the reds and everything. And my dad has always kind of been into photography, and he gave me his old camera, and I can't remember, I need to ask him, but it was either one of those little Canon, like, shoot and point,
Yeah. Point and shoot,
that's what I mean, cameras, or it was the old Nikon D70, which I did end up with, but I feel like there might have been another one first. I remember we were just going around taking photographs of all the trees, and I was taking some portraits with my neighbour, who was, she must have been like 6 years old at the time. And I remember doing it like, yeah, this is like really fun. And we travel around the UK quite a bit in my mum's camper van. So we'd sort of go down to the coast and always have the cameras in the van with us. And over time, sort of, I'd have my dad's hand-me-downs until I could obviously work and save up for my own stuff. So I was so convinced that I wanted to be a landscape photographer when I first started, until I got into school and they had photography as one of the options for our GCSEs, which like the first main exams you take when you're sort of 15, 16 years old. And we did all these different things like working in the dark rooms, I could sort of experiment with film a bit more. And we did a lot of stuff in studios, and yeah, just kind of opened up sort of more aspects of photography for me. And I then realized, I was like, oh, actually, I'm bored of doing landscapes. Like, I know there's some really incredible landscape photographers out there, but for me, I was just like, well, this thing has been here for so long, and thousands of people have taken a photograph of it. I don't know how to make that sort of different from the rest. Like, I find it difficult now to sort of take a unique landscape photograph. So I was kind of like, okay, well, let's photograph people, because you know you're not really going to get the same person twice, and yeah, unless there's a lot of twins about. But yeah, it just, for me, it was more unique. So I was like, cool, I'll start doing that, and started experimenting with film photography a lot more, which I really enjoy. And I'm kind of umming and ahhing about starting to develop film myself at home. But yeah, that's kind of when I realised actually I want to do portraits, and I stuck through with it till A levels, which is when you're about 18 years old in England. And yeah, before I dropped out, I kind of learned that I was so set on what I wanted to do that I was like, well, I'll drop out, and I just want to give it my all, really. I kind of believe that it's who you know and the contacts you make as well in music photography that really help you get the jobs you need. So I was like, well, being in school, skiving off school to go off and do these shoots doesn't really make sense for me. You know, just kind of drop that and go straight into it, hopefully. But, yeah.
Nice. Very cool. So you've been working kind of full-time in photography since then?
Not completely full-time. I do work in a bar as well, just to kind of help out when there's not a lot going on, because obviously summertime it's really busy for gigs. So I'm mostly shooting gigs and touring. Then around Christmas time and that, when everything calms down, there's virtually like no jobs, like no one really tours in December and January. So I'll go back to working in the bar more, which works out quite well, really, because, you know, I like being in social situations. Like being in a bar is pretty comfortable for me now after shooting a lot of small venues. So, yeah, I don't mind it for now. But yeah, full-time would be the dream.
Yeah, no, I totally get the whole December and January being slow, because it's like that over here in the States. It's like that pretty much everywhere, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of goes home for the holidays, and unless, you know, you had a big paying gig right before then, it's really hard to make it through the holidays. So
especially with sort of making sure you've got all your presents for everyone, and like it's an expensive time of year to not have a job.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Let's go right into some like quicker questions to get to know more about you as a photographer. So when it comes to camera brands, do you shoot with Nikon, Canon, Sony, or something else?
I shoot with a Nikon. At the moment I've got the D810. I do have a few Nikon film cameras, but not with me at the moment. But I've got this little Olympus camera, which I think it's a 1980s one, but it's yeah, been through a lot, so I do like that one as well. If I had more money, I would go Sony. I worked in a camera shop for a couple of years, and the Sonys would just be staring at me on the wall. Like, they're just so nice, but I can't move yet.
Yeah. Have you tried the Nikon like Z6 or whatever, their mirrorless?
Yeah, so those came out just as I was about to leave the camera shop job. So I was there sort of through the introduction of them, and I wasn't a massive fan.
Okay.
Like, a lot of people weren't massive fans at the start, which is really disappointing, because Nikon aren't doing as good as they used to be as a company. And just little things like, you know, the one memory card slot, you know, a lot of people don't really like that, because they like to back up for their if they're like shooting a wedding or whatever. I don't know, it was a lot smaller, which I do like, because this thing weighs so much, and like after photographing a wedding for the day, it's my arms and my legs just ache like mad. I'm so weak. But I don't know, I think maybe if I was to borrow one for a bit, I would get used to it. I'm really stubborn, because all the Nikon cameras have been so similar. I've been through sort of 4 or 5 different Nikon cameras, and they've all been so similar. So for me to have this new thing in my hands, I'm like, I can't get used to this. I'm just too stubborn with things like that.
Yeah, no, I completely get it. I actually tried some of those because everyone keeps talking about Sony and switching to Sony. And I was like, I gotta see what the mirrorless is about. And I tried one of them for a festival, and it was just kind of like, okay. So I find it funny that you're like, yeah, it was same impression I had. So I totally get it.
Yeah.
Can you describe your photography style in like 3 words?
Yeah. So I feel like it's constantly changing, but for the first time ever in the last year, I feel like I'm starting to kind of stick with something a bit more. I think I'm definitely going for the warmer, sort of summery vibes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's 3 words.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Warm, summery, but I don't know if vibes counts as a word, but
yeah. Does that kind of like go hand in hand with film? Because like I feel like that kind of describes a lot of like film aesthetics and film vibes. And you did mention film.
Yeah, I think it probably could be. I was given an old Nikon FE, which is a 1970s film camera, by a neighbour of mine, and I didn't really use it too much at first because I was like, this is all scary, everything's manual, there's absolutely nothing automatic about it really. But like I said, when I was in school with the darkroom, I kind of experimented a little bit more, and I was like, there's just something to film that digital can't reproduce, and it's I think I try and do something similar with Lightroom.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. What is your favorite show that you've photographed?
This was a really hard one. This is so hard, but I think it was Kasabian when they did their warm-up show, and they did it in Bristol, which is like 20 minutes from where I live in Bath, and it was, I think the capacity is 1,600. So like I don't know about their following in America, but they're massive in England. Like they've headlined Glastonbury, like so big. So for them to be doing this tiny little warm-up show, I was like, I need to shoot this. Like I really need to do this. And that was insane. Like, it was so stressful, but just so good. Like Tom, the front man, is just so fun to photograph. He's just jumping about, doing his thing. Sometimes wears some pretty cool outfits. That was fun. And also last summer I was at Truck Festival in Oxford, and Foals were headlining, and that was really good. It was a strange one because we had to shoot the last 3 songs instead of the first 3. So we were all kind of like, okay, how's this going to pan out? Like they were headlining the festival. And all of us photographers were in the back room. We were like, right, okay, well, how is this going to work? Because there's going to be confetti cannons. We're going to get blasted in the face by something. We were all just like talking about it all day. It was, I think they were the last ones on the last band of the whole festival. So they were kind of the talk of the press tent for a while. We go in and it's like, right, you need to either choose the left-hand side or the right-hand side, and you stay there. So I was like, right, okay, how am I going to choose this? And for me, I was like, right, well, I'm going to stand on the left because most of them, all of them play guitar the right way around. I was like, I don't want any guitar heads getting in the way of faces. So I was like, I'll go left. Mm-hmm. And then they were like, right, we're going to drag you aside in the second song. So the confetti cannons go off, and then we go in, and they were just giving us all this information, and it was so stressful, but we were all so excited at the same time. And I remember we walked into the pit, and there was a girl there called Holly who I kind of knew, but we got quite close at the festival. And we walked in, and I just turned around to her. I just threw up in the photo pit. I just completely threw up. And I think I only had like 1 can of beer that whole day. So I wasn't like drunk or anything. But it was just all this stress. They'd given us so much information. And I looked over, and there were like 2 other photographers that I knew just looked at me like, what I can do, because I'm on the other side of the pit, and this massive security guard is going to literally kill me if I try and come over to you. But it was, other than all the stress before, it was definitely a really fun, sort of bright, colourful show to photograph. The confetti cannons are absolutely terrifying when they go off to you, like go off and you're standing so close to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that there is kind of like a little like advice bit hidden in that story of like, regardless of how long you've been shooting, like things still get stressful and you can still get nervous about it. Like
100%.
Because I've had so many people say like, I'm so nervous to like take that first step, to like shoot in a pit, to like reach out to, publications and bands to like start shooting. And it's like, your nerves aren't necessarily going to go away completely. Like you're always going to have something that's exciting, something that you're looking forward to, something that's overwhelming. So I love that story.
It was so embarrassing because I know there was a lot of older photographers there that were like, oh yeah, we're not nervous, blah, 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 like being like really stern and hard. And I'm there like, okay, I've been doing this for 5 years, so probably not as long as you. But I was just like, it was just so much information to remember. They were making us sign all these like contracts and like, it was just so much. And it was the hottest week of the year we'd had like in 10 years. It was so hot. I remember I had to get my aircon regassed that day because I had to sit in my car. I had to leave my tent and just sit in my car with the aircon on full blast in the festival car parks. I just couldn't do it. It was like 30 degrees at night in a tent. It's just could have been a bit of heat stroke thinking about it.
Yeah, it definitely, if you're dehydrated and stuff, that plays a big part into it, especially if you get nervous. But that's so funny because there are like a few shows that just always have weird rules and stuff. I'm like, why? Why is this so different?
And it's when people ask you and they're like, oh, so why is it that, you have to do this, you have to do that? And it's like, I literally don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I have no idea why that is a rule. Like, why did we have to photograph the last 3 songs? Why was it not the first? I mean, I'd absolutely love it if the rule was last 3. Because I love it when, like, the bands have, been giving it their all for a good hour and they're like covered in sweat and they're like, everyone's proper into it. Like, I would 100% prefer that because the first 3 songs are normally the most sort of dead,
awkward,
kind of going into it and
yeah,
building up to the main bit. But yeah, those 2 are definitely the best.
Cool. Do you have any shows left on your bucket list, like things that you absolutely have to shoot and want to shoot soon?
Yeah, the first one that pops into mind, it's Florence and the Machine.
Oh yeah.
I absolutely love them as a band, but visually as well. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to one of their shows, but it's just beautiful. Like, it's just something else. Saw them for the first time. When was it? It might have been like 2018. And I remember we went into the wrong door at the O2 in London, like the big O2. And we ended up pretty much front row. I have no idea how we did it because we turned up late to the gig. And we were going through all the wrong doors. I'm used to little venues, like 2,000 capacity max. I've never been in a venue that big before in my life. But I was just going to watch. And after the show, I was like, oh, I need to photograph them. Like, I brought this camera, the little Olympus, with me. And I managed to get 4 shots that were just, so happy with them. She sort of came up to the crowd and leant over them, holding on to the hands of some fans. I literally just jumped up in the air and took 4 shots. And after that, I was like, I want to do it properly. Really want to do it properly. But it's just, yeah.
Visually beautiful shows, and like she wears this like flowing gorgeous dress that just adds so much to every shot because it's
she's just so cool. She's so cool. But I'd also thinking about it yesterday, Billie Eilish, I've just got this mad obsession with at the moment, and I honestly would chop my foot off to get a photo shoot with her, like live in a studio, whatever. I would absolutely those 2.
Okay, let's jump back into like more detail about like concert photography. So how did you get started specifically in concerts? Because you talked about kind of your movement from landscape to portraits and stuff. How did that transition over to concerts and music?
So it's kind of a weird one, really. My dad, again, he got a guitar when I must have been like 6 years old for Christmas. My mum bought him this guitar and he learned, and he got really good, to be fair. And then, little young me was like, I want to do what my dad does. So when I was 9 years old, they bought me my first guitar and put me in for guitar lessons with my school, like an after school club thing. And I was put in with like a lot older people that were sort of picking up on it a lot quicker than me. And I was like, I'm just really not good at this. Like, I just have no musical skill whatsoever. Like, I've done things like dance class and I've got no rhythm. I'm just not good at this, and there's no way I can be good at this sort of thing. So I kind of just, I kind of joke around like, well, I can't be in a band, so I'll photograph them instead, so I still kind of have involvement. I think I was in a band for about 5 minutes, and I'm pretty sure 9-year-old me ran out crying in fear. So I was like, yeah, that's definitely going to be one that's off the list. And then I remember when I was about 12 years old, I really started getting into music a lot more, and I was absolutely obsessed with Bastille, like absolutely obsessed with them. And it was when I think I was 14 or 15 years old, my parents sent me to Reading and Leeds Festival because they were headlining. I'd never been to a festival really, never seen Bastille live. I was so excited because I'd been following them for such a long time. I knew of their photographer, Gregory Nolan, and I just absolutely loved his work. I remember walking through the fields. I was like, Dad, that's Greg. I was like, that's Greg. And he's like, go and talk to him. And I was so awkward and nervous. I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm not going to do it. So my dad, like, bless him, he just ran down the field, like, absolutely, like, sprinted after him and sort of tapped him on the shoulder. It was so hot, he must have been covered in sweat. And Greg sort of turned around and was like, oh, hello. And my dad sort of spoke to him for a bit and explained, like, oh, my daughter's a big fan of your work, and sort of dragged me over kind of forcefully. And I had this chat with him, and he said, like, you know, he gave me some pretty good advice, saying, like, you know, you're going to start off, you're not going to get paid jobs, you are going to, you know, do it for free. And he said, go to a little pub and photograph, like, a small gig or like a open mic night. He gave me his email address and, you know, said, send over your photographs and, you know, I can give you some advice, I can help you out. And I was just like, this is amazing. Like, I just turned around to him and I was like, I want to do what you do. Like, I want to do what you do. And yeah, and then I didn't see him for ages. Like, we kind of stayed in touch for a bit on email. I didn't see him till like maybe 2 years ago when Bastille came to my city, and I didn't realise he was going to be there until the day. And I emailed him and I was like, hey Greg, you know, long time, are you going to be at this show? And he said, yeah, we'll have a catch up afterwards. And I remember just standing there afterwards and I was like, the first time I met him, I said to him, I was like, I want to do what you do. And now I'm doing what he's doing. Aww. And it was just like mad. It was just so mad for me to kind of have that moment, because little 14, 15-year-old me in Reading Festival just never imagined that I'd kind of go anywhere with it or do anything with it. But I'm very happy that I did.
That's so sweet. And also props to your dad for like chasing down this dude across the festival.
I know. This must have been like later on in the day as well. So, you know, he probably had a few drinks and he just
of course.
takes him down. Like, my dad normally at festivals, he has this vest and it's like bright neon green. And he bought it when we were on holiday in Spain, and he's really colourblind. So he must have thought it was like a nice little pastel yellow. And he always wears it to festivals with this silly little fishing hat and these shorts. And every time we go and he wears his outfit, he gets stopped. If we're not together as a family, he'll get stopped by security. And they'll be like, why are you on your own? Why have you, you know, got your money screwed up in your pocket? Like, sort of questioning him, like, you seem dodgy because of this. It's just, if you watch it, he's going to be so annoyed with me, but it's just an awful vest. It's just awful.
He sounds like such a dad. Like, that just describes the iconic dad at every festival.
My mum agrees, though. It's just not a nice vest. It really is. I think she got rid of it recently, actually. I'm pretty sure she was just like, you're not having this, and binned it.
Well, at least he was able to flag the photographer down and be like, hey, look, I look like maybe a lunatic, but talk to my daughter about this.
Yeah. No, I'm very thankful for that. And
that's awesome.
Sorry, Dad, for judging your lovely vest.
Cool. Okay, so let's jump to talking about your current situation, because this is like what we first started talking about, and I think it's wild, especially with right now. Like, we're filming this kind of in the thick of the virus situation. Like, I'm staying at home and you're in a very unique situation. So I was just gonna have you explain kind of like how this has impacted you and your tour, and like what you're doing now and how this all came about.
Yeah. So it's pretty mad over here. It's been strange because we don't really watch the news too much here unless it's like a playback on YouTube. So we kind of find things out like a day afterwards. But I was on tour with a band from Leicester called Arcades, and we'd done, I think, maybe like 2 or 3 shows, and we were in Manchester, and it was kind of, I think, a few days before the lockdown was like enforced by Boris, and everybody was a bit weird at that gig. Like, one of our like closest mates couldn't come because him and his girlfriend were self-isolating because they had all the symptoms, and we just kind of didn't really believe it. We were like, this is so mad that it's actually getting to the point where it's like bad. Like, I remember vaguely swine flu, and it got bad, but it never kind of progressed to the point where it was like actually people are majorly freaking out. Like, the sound engineer wouldn't shake anyone's hand, he wouldn't lend his pen out, and at the time we were kind of like, are we all being overly cautious, or is this genuinely gonna hit us bad? And obviously it was the second one. But yeah, we did the show in Manchester, which is Steve the guitarist's sort of like hometown show, so they're normally pretty rowdy, like sort of typical northern show. They're sort of a lot rowdier than they are down south. So yeah, it was a great show. We came back and we were sort of getting ready for the next one. I think it was supposed to be in Brighton, so that's like right down the south. So we were getting ready for that, and sat around watching the news go on. And it was when the announcement came, and it was like, yeah, from tonight the UK's in a lockdown. And we all kind of sat there like, right, okay, that's tour cancelled then. But we're currently in Leicester, where the band live, and I stay here when it's between shows because I still live in Bath. But it was, yeah, we were all kind of like, right, okay, sort of, now what? Like, the band all still have jobs outside of the band, so most of them are put on furlough, which is a word that nobody knew of before this. Now we hear furlough all the time, and it's good that the government are, stepping up and helping pay. I don't know what the situation is over in America, but we're all getting 80% of our normal pay. But I don't know whether it's the same over where you are.
I think it depends.
Yeah. I know it's very different, but so we all just kind of now sat in the house like, well, I can't go home. I live 150 miles away, and the band, the tour's cancelled. We've got all this spare time, which is great. So they've just been working on demos, and in the meantime I've bought a load of studio equipment, just so we can I've been meaning to do it for a while, but I never really looked into it too much. And so we've been still doing some photographs in the studio. Like, the band are all massive posers, so it helps a lot with me. I remember first time I photographed them, I was like, wow, they're so easy to photograph. Like, if I could photograph them every night, I'm happy. But so we've still sort of been doing stuff, but they've been busy rescheduling tour, and I've just been kind of bimbling around. Luckily had all my camera gear with me because of the tour, but kind of only packed enough clothes for 3 days, so I had to get my parents to send some stuff up. But it's not too bad. It's certainly fun living with the band. There's never really a dull day. We've got some pretty exciting stuff coming up this week that we're going to film. I don't think they've mentioned it yet, but there's going to be like an exciting acoustic session with another artist.
Nice. So I think that it's great that you guys are still creating, and my boyfriend, who I'm quarantined or staying at home with, he's also a musician, and I know that he's trying to do the same thing to like keep that creativity going, put out some demos, put out some acoustic sessions and all of that. So it's great to see that like you and the band are creating content in this like not so great situation, but hopefully you'll get something great out of it. But overall, like, how is it to just be kind of in lockdown with the band, since like you guys are around each other all the time now? Is it just like a lot, or are you guys kind of getting used to it and it's fine?
It's all right, actually, because when we did the last tour, we did a tour in April. We have this really old sort of hanging transit van that they've named her Big Red, so she's like another member of the band, but we're all just in there, and she's an absolute death trap. And so we're always like constantly around each other on tour. It's not like they've got a budget big enough to have a million hotel rooms. Like, we're literally going to be like kipping on the floor of someone's sofa sort of thing. So it doesn't really feel too much different to what it would be on tour. Obviously Jack isn't with us because he's still working, so he's still working, and he lives with his parents. So yeah, there's just 3 out of 4 of them here. But we've been planning a lot. Been planning sort of shoots and EP shoots, and kind of just doing everything we possibly can in lockdown. But yeah, it's a good laugh. They're just nuts. They are just absolutely just crazy. So we've had some funny looks from the neighbours. We've had a few complaints from the neighbours.
Oh no.
They've been doing live sessions in the garden, and I've just been sort of behind the camera live streaming it for them. And obviously, like, we've got loads of guitars and stuff, but Ollie, the drummer, has just been like doing bits on the con, and obviously, like, it's still pretty loud, and all the houses in the street are really close together, and you just hear like tapping on the gate, and we were like, oh no. So we sent over our housemate Will to go speak to them, and you could just see this little like hole in the fence, and the little lady sort of poking her head up like, what's all this noise, what's going on, you know, my daughter's trying to study, can you turn down the volume or something? And she was like kicking off. I was just kind of like, okay, sorry about that. And yeah, our other neighbours, like, they're on the other side of us, they were really lovely. They're an older couple, I think, and they just like dropped a bottle of wine over. Like, they said they really enjoy watching us from their balcony. So yeah, just seeing us all messing about in the garden and playing music and having barbecues and that, it does feel like a bit of a summer holiday, but like inside the house sort of thing.
So I love the positivity of like you talking about it and just saying like, oh yeah, it's like holiday, you know, we're just hanging out, making the best of it, because I know a lot of people here in the States, especially near me, are just like stressed out about it. And like all of it's just like anxiety and kind of just a mess right now. And it's really nice to hear someone like making the most out of it and like talking positively about it. So I really like that. I think that it's great what you guys are doing, and that you have the opportunity to like continue creating during all of this. I think that's a huge thing. So
it's kind of in a weird way, it's we're trying to word this without it sounding bad, but it's like we're trying to pull the best out of a pretty bad situation. It's like, you know, the first week or so we were all just like, this is rubbish, like, you know, we can't do anything, the tour's cancelled, like, it's just a massive setback. And then we kind of got over all of that, and we were just like, actually, right, we've got all this time off, what can we do? Like, there's literally no point us sitting around and being upset about it. The best thing we can do, you know, for my photography, for the band, for everyone really, is to just get planning the next or the next step. So I think a couple of the lads have already rescheduled the tour. Whether or not that's actually going to happen, because it's supposed to be October, November time. Not too sure. But fingers crossed it does pan out, because I really miss traveling in a van. Like I said, we're supposed to be in Belgium today, and early on I was just sat there like, oh, I really miss, like, especially the European side of it. Like, it's just so much fun being able to travel and do what you love at the same time. And yeah, it's really tiring, but it's so worth it. Like, you just see the most amazing places. I think last year we went to Amsterdam and did a few shows out there, and a lot of people from Leicester came out to Amsterdam as well to watch the band. And really, we kind of tied it in as a bit of a holiday and tour. Kind of had a day in between. I think it was Steve's birthday, so we were like, well, we'll have an extra day out of it then. And obviously Amsterdam is just an incredible city. Like, it's so beautiful. It's just, I've never really been anywhere like it before. It's just, you're walking through the streets and it just doesn't really look real. It's just mad. Like, all the buildings are wonky, and like all the streets, you don't know what's what. Like, honestly, Google Maps lies to you in Amsterdam. Oh my word. But Amsterdam's definitely one of my favorite cities to tour in.
So speaking of tour, let's talk more about going on tour and being on tour. I know that I mentioned this to you, but I don't tour, so I don't travel. I'm very much a homebody and like being at home. So I don't like have any advice, any tips on traveling and touring. So can you talk more about like how you got involved in touring. Did you just like connect or get like relationships with the bands and kind of like connect from there? Yeah, just like any advice about touring, anything that you want to say, because I just have no idea. I have no idea what it's like.
Yeah. It is a difficult one because there's no sort of definite way of going, right, this is what you've got to do to get a tour.
Yeah.
It's what I wanted to do for a really, really long time before I got my first tour. And honestly, the only thing I can really say, and it's the most annoying thing, because everybody used to tell me this, and it's just the most annoying thing, but you literally at a gig talk to everyone, talk to the band, talk to the roadies, talk to the people that are in the crowd, talk to the photographers, talk to the security guards, literally talk to everyone. You really do need to sort of build up relationships with people. Mm-hmm. And you know, somebody might know somebody that needs a photographer, or you know, if you build up a good relationship with the band, then obviously they're going to trust you more and hire you again. Like, it's very rare that a band will take you on tour and not know you. You need to kind of go out there, photograph a few gigs, and that's pretty much all I can advise. It's just talk to people and stay in touch with people and just really get those strong, solid contacts. Mm-hmm. It really is sort of about who you know and who knows who, and just asking people outright, like, you know, do you have a contact for this person, or do you know so and so, would you be able to get me in touch? And for me, it was kind of having the bravery, because I started this all when I was 15 years old and I was very shy and awkward. So the thought of walking into a bar full of random adult strangers to go and photograph a band absolutely terrified me. But now it just feels natural. And talking to people feels natural. It's just pushing yourself out your comfort zone. And just constantly pushing yourself photography wise as well. It just it's kind of the best advice I can give.
So for a lot of people, that idea comes up a lot, of just like talking and creating those relationships. And I think almost all of the photographers that I know are introverts, and we like going to concerts and being in like our own space and not talking to anyone. But I think that it's really important to like continue going out and talking to people and introducing yourself to like everyone, even if you're not going on tour. So like I totally get that that's an introduction point for getting to know the bands and going on tour, but I just personally hate talking to people sometimes.
So difficult. I think a lot, like I said, a lot of creative people are the same. Like, if I could have it my way, I'd go in, take my photos and just vanish and just sort of not really be there. But I kind of got it in my mind that obviously you're at this gig photographing this band that everybody likes, well, hopefully everybody likes, and you know, you're all in the same situation. Most people there are gonna be creative people that, you know, like music and arts, and probably feel the same as you. So, you know, going and being dead honest, like, it's just kind of the best way to go about it. Like, you're gonna have similarities with the people that are in the room with you, whether it's, you know, a security guard that is, you know, 50 years old and a bloke that you never think you'd have anything in common with. But, you know, some of the security guards at venues that I photograph, like, we'll go in and we'll just have a chat about music because we have that in common. And, you know, you get to know them that way. And people are really nice, even if they look scary. A lot of the time they can be really nice. And
cool. Okay, so the next question that I have for you is actually my favorite question that I love asking in all of my interviews. And it's about, like, have you had any experiences with like prejudices in the industry, whether that's like ageism because you started really young, so like people just not respecting you because of how young you are, or anything to do with like sexism? This is something that I like to talk about because I feel like everyone has such a dramatically different experience. So, and I haven't talked to anyone from Europe really yet. So it's like nice to kind of have that side of it and know what it's like over there for you and kind of the industry as a whole. So if you have any experiences regarding any prejudices, I'd love to chat about it.
Yeah, I've actually been pretty lucky in the sense that I've not had anything major. I know some friends of mine and some people that are in like a UK photographer group on Facebook. Like I've heard some real horror stories, like some really nasty stuff, and some friends of mine that work in the music industry that aren't photographers, that are maybe like managers or things like that. They've had some pretty rough experiences with sexism. And yeah, like I said, I was 15 when I started, and one of the times I remember I was going up to the security for this gig, and the band asked me to be there to photograph. So I went up and I asked them whether they had the guest list yet, or the photo pass list, and they kind of just looked me up and down, and they were like, "Yeah, like why?" Like kind of looked at me really confused because I was like this little 15-year-old girl, and I was like, "Oh, I'm here to photograph the band." And they went, "What do you mean photograph the band?" I was like, "I'm here with the band to photograph them. I've come to collect like my photo pass." And they looked me up and down again. They were like, "Wait, you're with the band?" And I was just like, "Yeah, I've got my camera. I've got some emails I can show you." And they didn't believe me, and they like full on searched through this email chain, and then they were just kind of like, okay, like go on through. But I was just, yeah, I'd never really experienced anything like that before, and I was like, probably a mix of my age. I mean, I don't know whether it would have been like a sexist thing, probably more the age thing, but yeah, nothing too major. I remember one time someone said to me, they said something like, "Oh, you know, women shouldn't really be touring because, you know, lads want lads on tour with them." And I was just like, "What are you on about?" Like, it really annoyed me because I was like, well, obviously I don't know really too much about local music in America, but in England there's definitely a more male, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of bands are more like predominantly male than female, or there'll be like maybe one female in the whole band, and the rest will be male. So it's quite difficult in that sense. After I was told that, I was kind of like, oh, you know, maybe they're right. Maybe, you know, lads do just want lads on tour, and that's why there's so many male people in the music industry. And then I was just kind of like, no, if I think like that, then I'm never gonna get anywhere. Like I'm just gonna try and ignore what that person said to me. But I guess it's kind of always sort of stuck in my mind. But yeah, there's definitely a big inequality in sex.
Yeah.
In sort of my area. I don't know too much about like mainland Europe, but definitely in the UK there's way more men in the music industry than there is women. Just yeah, lads want lads on tour sort of thing. But yeah, it's not.
That's something that I've heard as well, from just kind of communicating with other people that are going on tour, that they've gotten kind of comments about like, well, if you go on tour, what are the guys' girlfriends gonna think? And like stuff like that. And it's just like, you're here for a job, you know, like this doesn't have anything to do with the band's girlfriends. And that's kind of like the thing that I've heard around here, at least. So like the guys want guys on tour is definitely something that comes up.
Yeah.
Like, how do you confront that? You just kind of ignore it and just do your business and be like, hey, I'm here for a job, like I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I must have said to that person, like, you know, if somebody's a good photographer, then, you know, at the end of the day, you should be hiring somebody because they're a good photographer, not sort of whether they're male or female. And going back to what you just said about sort of what would the lads' girlfriends think about it, like I've been so lucky. Like, I've got to know everybody up here really well, and like all the lads, like girlfriends or whatever, like I've got on with so well. Like we've all become really good friends, and it's just become one big sort of group of friends and niceness. But yeah, I know it's not the case with some people, which is a big shame. it's certainly sad when I hear stories that people have had real bad experiences and things have kicked off. It shouldn't be like that at all. Like, at the end of the day, we're all here to do our job, and we're all here to, do what we love doing, and
So lastly, I just wanted to talk about if you have any like last piece of advice or like anything that you want to say, like what was the best advice that you've gotten that you would love to pass on, or like any other tips?
Advice wise, the best thing I've been told and that I would tell somebody else is literally just don't turn down any opportunities. Like, if you've got a gig and you want to really go far, go to that gig. If it's a band you don't really like, go to the gig, talk to people, and just try and not say no. I think how I met this band was I was at another gig in London, and I almost wasn't going to go because I had like mad tonsillitis. I could barely speak. I was going around London with my phone notes like, can I buy a train ticket, please? And I was so unwell. And I was like, all my doctors were like, don't go, you got to stay at home and rest. I was just like, nah, I've got a feeling about this one. Like, I'm gonna still go, even though I feel like I'm gonna die. And I went there and I got chatting to another photographer there who ended up asking me if I wanted to cover for her at this gig. So from that, I got that other gig, and from that gig, I'm now touring with that band. So it's like, even though I felt really ill, obviously don't go if you're literally gonna like put yourself in harm, but try not to turn down an opportunity because you don't know what else that would lead on to.
I think that's a great bit of advice, because I think that there's a lot of people that are just like, oh, I don't have to do that. And like every single situation can lead to something amazing and something cool. So I love that.
Yeah, that would definitely be the thing that I've remembered most out of advice that's been given to me.
Nice. Yeah. Well, cool. Thank you so much, Chloe, for like hanging out with me today and doing this interview. I think it was really great talking to you, especially about like your situation and how you got started. So thank you for coming on here and sharing your experience. And
it's really fun.
And then I'm going to put all of your information and links in the description of this video, but can you really quickly like shout out where people can find your work?
Yeah, so on pretty much all social medias, it's just like Chloe Dunscombe photography. But I think probably Instagram is where I post most. Just Chloe Dunscombe photography. And that's where you can find my most recent stuff. I'm pretty bad with technology, but I try and keep it updated.
Awesome. Okay, so everyone, please go check out Chloe's stuff, and thank you again so much for being here and chatting with us. Bye.